Game one of the NBA Finals coming up tonight. San Francisco Celtics and Warriors, of course, meeting in the finals. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a long series, hopefully. Anyway, you got three Celtics backers right here talking to you, so we'll hope that we can be at least relatively impartial. Julian Edlow, Jeff Pratt, jumping in here with us, guys, and top DFS plays on this showdown tonight. As one would expect, Jason Tatum, Steph Curry, they are the two highest priced players when it comes to obviously captaining a guy. So are you going to go with one of them, Julian, or would you like to have maybe a more balanced, opportunity there in the utility spots and a cheaper captain?
Yeah, I think as the series goes on, you see more of that star power and maybe you want to spend up a little more at captain. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see off the bat here, so I think it's tough to justify paying up quite as much. But if we want to go mid-range, like I know if you watch the betting segment with Matt and I earlier, we talked a lot about Al Horford because Rob Williams is either going to not play, which I kind of lean towards, or play and be limited because he just wasn't the same guy that we saw earlier. So it's a good matchup for Horford from a size perspective, in terms of scoring in the paint, getting more rebounds with a limited Williams, and stepping out and shooting the three. I just see a balanced game there from Horford, and that's kind of a balanced captain's pick.
What's going to be interesting, though, Jeff, is, obviously, like DraftKings, for instance, has a millionaire contest for this showdown tonight. So it's going to be difficult to have a lineup that isn't going to be duplicated a million times, whether it's Tatum or Steph or, Jaylen Brown in the captain spot, Smart, Al Horford. Like, you almost want to go with somebody like Gary Payton II, who's going to play tonight. It looks like, according to Shams Charania, he's on track to play. He's super cheap, and you could, again, load up in the utility. What's your goal ultimately if you're looking for a little differentiation?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're going to find that much differentiation here in what I'm looking for personally. To touch on Gary Payton quickly, it sounds like he'll be back. I know that Anthony Slater said that it's not positive if he's going to jump right back into the rotation. So I'd be wary of role players like him, especially a guy who's been out for so long. But yeah, Julian, I'm right with you. I think Al Horford is a really good option here at 11.4K. I said it yesterday when I was on, but there are so many different lineups that these teams can run. So I'm wary of picking a role player at captain until we see a game and get a feel of how these guys are going to be used. I know that Al Horford is going to play 30 plus minutes tonight, regardless of if the Warriors go big with Kevon Looney or small with Jordan Poole. There is a place for Horford on the court, and he doesn't need to score a lot to produce. From a fantasy perspective, he's at double-digit rebounds in 3 of his last 5 games, at least 3 assists in every game since the end of April versus the Nets. And he's really been racking up the blocks lately too. So I'm rolling with a 35-year-old Horford. He's apparently found the fountain of youth as well. I think there are a couple of options that you can look at paying down wise. I think Derek White is a guy who I highlighted. I think he's going to see the floor a lot. But right now, I'm rolling with guaranteed production, and you're getting that in Al Horford.
What we found here is the model to follow if you're a guy on the wrong side of 35 in the NBA. Find a team that's willing to sit you for half a season, and then you come back incredibly fresh the next year. So thank you, Oklahoma City Thunder. Jeff, let's stay with you. Who are you going to stack with Horford then?
Yeah, since I paid in the middle here for captain, I can afford to pay up a little bit here. I won't be taking one of the studs, but I will roll with Marcus Smart at 8,200, continuing the trend of rostering these mid-level guys who I know are going to play massive roles in tonight's game. This is the biggest stage of Marcus Smart's career. He's the first point guard to win DPOY since Gary Payton, and he's tasked with containing the most unstoppable offensive point guard the game has ever seen. The narratives are just flying off the rails here. And then on the offensive side of the ball, he's really embraced the role as Boston's true point guard, and he does it all. He scores relatively consistently. He sets up his teammates. He's really active on the glass. Considering he's probably going to play 35 plus minutes tonight, that's all you need for DFS production.
What we're hearing here, Julian, basically is that Ime Udoka is going to have a really thin rotation, and guys are going to play a lot of minutes.
Yeah, not only that to, keep smashing the Boston side of things, but for the Warriors, all the cheaper value guys they would have are no longer value because you have names. Gary Payton is going to be back, we now know. It sounds like Otto Porter Jr. should be back. Andre Iguodala is either coming back or at some point coming back. So, like, the value guys they had that were filling those roles are now off the board. We don't know what we can expect from the guys that are coming back, so it makes it much more difficult to roster the Warriors. So what I will say here, going with Horford, you can afford to get at least one star in there. So I think either if you're going to go that mid route, even if you go with Marcus Smart, like Jeff said, Tatum or Curry has to be in your lineup, one of those two guys. We don't really even need to add analysis there. They're just studs. They're going to play well. But the trickle down effect on the Boston side, I think, with Robert Williams, not playing as much, we'll see what type of role Peyton Pritchard has in a series like this. I think Derek White and Grant Williams are the two guys that pick up all those Williams minutes as kind of the fifth guys on the floor with the core four. And we'll see if it kind of how Golden State plays this. If it's more Looney, it probably dictates more Williams. If it's more Poole, it probably dictates more White, unless Boston wants to kind of scatter and go bigger when Golden State goes small or vice versa. But I would say Grant Williams and Derek White are the trickle-down plays behind Al Horford.
Time is short, so let's get a straight prediction from both of you guys here in terms of who's going to take game one and by how much. Julian, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said off the top of the show, I'm on the Celtics first half, but who's going to win the game and by how much? I think it's probably going to wind up being the Warriors by more than 3.5 points, which is all that matters. I'm not giving another number.
What about you, Jeff?
I think if Rob Williams somehow plays and is relatively productive and active, the Celtics have a chance of stealing this one, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I'm rolling with Warriors probably by around 7 or 8 points.